Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is October 21st, 2019. A little bit of a show for you, a little bit more than last week anyway. A few kits have come in overseas. One kit has come in on the domestic side of things. We have a few more kit announcements to talk about. Over at Aoshima for November, they've added a few more kits to the pile of just straight reissues, and they are going to be the 2010 WRX STI, the 1970 Skyline GTR, the 1971 Skyline 2000 GT, the 1977, Skyline 2000 GTES, the 1982 Datsun 720 lowrider pickup truck, the 1999 S15 SILVIA Vertex, and the 1999 FD3S RX7 Vertex. So a few more things sort of tossed onto the reissue pile there. And we have our first announcements for January of 2020. Two wheel sets from Fujimi. They're going to be reissuing their 17-inch BBS RG346s and their 18-inch Workmeister Emotions, or the Workmeister Emoticons, as we like to call them around here. Also, and I don't necessarily believe it's going to affect that many people around here, but just because we like to keep things current, the two FD3S RX7s that are for Kawasaki Takahashi's initial D series kits that are pre-paints. They were supposed to come out this month in October. Those have been pushed back to December. So, not exactly a very shocking development. The pre-paints always seem to be delayed for one reason or another, and these are apparently no different. So, let's take a look at the kits that got released this week, shall we? On the domestic side of things, one release from round two. It is the reissue of the 1995 GMC Sonoma SLS. This is, of course, one of the old annual kits that was done in the 1990s. It's not really that, it's not old, but hey, that was 20 plus years ago. And now, actually, this almost 25 years ago. Okay, his truck came out the year I graduated high school. I believe I already have a Sonoma SLS someplace. I think I've got the sportier version of this. They had to do some revised tooling to be able to release it again as this. I'm assuming because of the some of the changes that were done to the sort of dual use parts, because obviously the GMC and the S10 that also came out at the same time is kind of sort of the same vehicle in the sense that they share a lot of the parts, since the GMC and the S10 are, sister vehicles. I'm not exactly sure what they did to it in order to release it again as sort of a factory stock version, but this does include snowboard and some boots for the first time. Those have never been in it before, so a little, trying to get a little extra value. I don't think you really need to do too much of an extra value proposition on this for people who want this type of kit, only because the 1990s annuals, for some reason, are now fabulously expensive. I'm not exactly sure why that is. They were produced in such great bulk. I'm thinking almost everybody has some of them in their stash someplace. But be it as it may, it's not necessarily a bad reissue in the terms of me like talking it down. Just a I got no issues with this. One of the things, this truck has always incorrectly had four-wheel drive wheels in it, and apparently it now has the correct two-wheel drive wheels as well. So that is something. Now, I don't think those were newly tooled. I think they were just put back in. They were in the original Sonoma, or the original S10, and then sort of disappeared as that kit went through several annual reissues. So anyway, those are back. So moving overseas, we have a couple of releases from Fujimi, a couple of releases from Aoshima, and then one of the long lingering, it's released everywhere else but not in Japan, is finally released in Japan, B-Max kits. So over at Fujimi, a couple of things that are just straight reissues, part of the reissue campaign that they started doing for September and October, is this, the 1993 version of the Toyota MR2. Basic curbside kit. The previous generation MR2 kit that Fujimi did had at least sort of a paint tray engine top, if you will. This is just a straight curbside. Pretty basic, but it's the only real SW20 kit there is. And then the other reissue is this here, the VX80 version of the Toyota Land Cruiser. I can think of absolutely no redeeming quality to this kit whatsoever, especially considering the fact that Tamiya reissued theirs about, what, 2 years ago now. Those kits are still quite easy to find. This kit is an old motorized kit. Now, the VX100 Land Cruiser they did, which is the 2 generations ahead, that's a pretty nice curbside kit. Seats are molded into the floor like a Fujimi kit tends to be, but overall, it's not a bad kit. This one that we're talking about here, no, it's very, very basic, very, very curbside, very, very motorized. The chassis is like 4 pieces. It's just a hot mess compared to the Tamiya kit, which is full detail with an engine and everything. I understand that they own the tooling and reissuing it is very cheap, but I don't see as a modeler why you'd buy one. So there is that. Also from Fujimi, the 2 wheel sets for the month of October, and these are the only things they had automotive coming out in October, because right now they're focusing very heavily on 1/72nd scale military kits. You have this, which is a 14-inch Panasport wheel. Comes with tires, comes with some decals for the center cap and things like that. But, a wheel set's a wheel set. There's really not a whole heck of a lot to say. And the other one is this. It is a 15-inch Watanabe deep dish, if you will, 8-spoke. Now, this is going to have a deeper wheel barrel to wheel face depth than a regular Watanabe wheel. Both these sets of wheels are molded in sort of a grayish metallic silver, maybe. Neither one of them are like chrome or bronze or look anything like the finish of the box art's showing you, but wheel set's a wheel set, and like I said, they do come with tires, so at least there's that. Some of the Asuka wheel sets that have come out over the time, they didn't come with any tires, they were just wheels, so at least there are tires with those, I guess. Over at Aoshima, we got their kits for the month of October. At this point, a few reissues still lingering, but these are the new kits, or the newly boxed kits, I guess I should say. Over on the 2 model car side of things, you got this, the Hippo Sleek Legacy. Yes, the 1998 Legacy with its sort of tuner package. You cannot build this factory stock. The factory stock kit was reissued not too terribly long ago, about 2 years ago. Still, again, not that hard to find. So this is, you're building this as you see it on the box art with the aerodynamic pieces and parts. I will say that you can kind of almost build this factory stock in the sense that the front bumper is an overlay. You do not cut the stock front bumper off. You take that aero front bumper and put it on over top of the existing kit part, much like the Suzuki Cappuccino and its sort of tuner version, where you put the tuner bumper on over top of the factory stock bumper. There are no factory stock wheels in here, but if you wanted to build sort of a kind of sporty little twist to the Legacy without going the whole Hippo Sleek Aero package route, you could do that in the sense that there are, like I said, no factory stock wheels in here. There's like racing seats instead of regular seats and things like that. But, you could kind of halfway it if you wanted to. And then over on the factory stock side of things, you have this, the 1999 Mazda MX-5 Roadster. This is a 2nd-gen Miata. I was just looking over there to see if Miata is still a term that was used on the 2nd-gen, and it was. So, compared to the now, it's just the MX-5 Roadster. So this kit does come with all of the left-hand drive parts. I know it's shown right-hand drive on the box art, but it does come with all the left-hand drive parts. They're all in there. They're not mentioned anywhere in the instructions. The building directions for this are just for the right-hand drive version, but all the left-hand drive parts are there. And it's really not a whole heck of a lot. It's the dashboard and the windshield wipers and the scuttle panel to mount the windshield wipers. So, I mean, it's just a few different pieces. This kit can be built either as a roadster, like with the top down, can be built with a soft top or a hard top. All of your top options are single piece molded clear parts, so you've got to sort of mask the window, paint the clear hard top or the clear soft top, and then unmask the window kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. But it does, like I said, include both options, so there's that. And then we have the reissue of the Nissan SILVIA S13 1991, and this is, of course, the Diamond package. So there's newly tooled wheels in here that you see on the box art. Those are the only wheels that come with this kit for a change. Usually, when Aoshima reissues something, it has all of the wheels that it comes with. The Miata has 2 sets of wheels, for example. You can build this as the Diamond package, which was the basic top-of-the-line tier. Had every option package of everything underneath of it. except for like one thing, which was navigation. You can build a sort of down trim, if you will, as a king, a queen, or a jack, as far as the uh, trim. For people who don't know, didn't watch other videos, the SILVIA's trim levels were JK, or JQK for the playing cards of your 51 card pickup, if you will. And then the diamond package was all of those options packaged into one vehicle. This also does include all the aero parts, so that you could build an aero spec version of the SILVIA, which is, I think, technically a king as far as the trim level itself goes. But there's a couple seat options here. You can build this as an early SILVIA or a late SILVIA, so that's a very cool option. The 1988 SILVIA parts have not been in a kit since a release of the kit in the mid-1990s, I think. Might have got one reissue in the 2000s, but I'd have to look to see when the one I have is from. I think it's a little newer than the original release in the 90s. There's sort of unspoken proportional issues with this kit, because the chassis itself was designed for the S15, and then they backdated it to fit the S13. They really backdated it. It's just the S15 chassis. So the chassis is not technically correct, and it also made the proportions of their S13 SILVIA a little bit off because they scaled the body to fit the chassis. One of those jobs. So keep that in mind if you're going for it. The Tamiya one, which is probably the most accurate SILVIA, good lord, that kit hasn't been available in forever, so it's not really technically a viable option unless you're willing to go pay for it. And then last we're going to talk about in this video is the release of the 1/20th scale Brabham BT52B 83 European Grand Prix version. So this has probably about 4 or 5 sprues of new parts to make all the changes to the body and the wings and the engine and things like that. This is a full detail kit. The BT52 came out probably 3.5 years ago at this point, maybe 2.5 years ago, and this is a modified reissue of that kit. I guess finally it's out. This will probably be, like I said, one of the last 3 or 4 kits that you'll see with a BMAX logo attached to it until they can get themselves unintertwined with Aoshima. But beyond that, I really don't know a heck of a lot about F1 cars, so it's sort of one of those things. But I think, from what I understand, the general reviews of the BT52 were not bad. There were no great, horrible issues with it, and so this is just a modified reissue of it. And then, of course, because that what occurs with every BMAX kit and new kit is you get a detail upset that's specific to the kit, and so you do here as well. So you're getting seatbelt material, you're getting a bunch of little hose fittings, you're getting photo etch, a couple sheets of photo etch. There's also like an air jack piece out of turned metal, and then there's 3 sheets rather of carbon fiber decals included as well. So that'll pretty much carbon fiber your entire driver tub, if you will. Most of it, there's some of it for the outside. Most of it is for the tub, so when you take the engine cover off, the whole interior tub is all carbon fibered, all nice and neat for you. And you don't have to go out and buy, a whole other set of carbon fiber decals from, say, Studio 27, because that's going to give you, like, the big gist of your carbon fiber. Will Studio 27 do a carbon fiber set for it? Maybe. I can't remember if they did one for the BT52 or not. Studio 27 has not done a whole heck of a lot to support BMAX kits in general, other than doing the carbon fiber set for the M6. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they'll do one or not, but this is much the same way as the Enzo had a carbon fiber set eventually for it, and the FXX, I should say the FXX, and the FXXK had carbon fiber sets available from Tamiya that were not necessarily complete, like they weren't every single piece of carbon fiber on the car, but they were enough carbon fiber to make it look good. That's the same sort of principle there. The big, obvious pieces are there. So anyway, guys, that wraps this one up for this week. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.